Hello my friends, thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited about this video idea. It just came to me yesterday. It popped into my head and I thought, that's a great idea. Why haven't I done something like this before? We're gonna take on like product comparisons, newly released products, things that you might be hearing a lot about, might be considering buying, but putting those two sort of similar products in the same conversation and talking about which one I like best. So I'm pumped to be bringing you this today. And I also wanna say right at the start here, I'm so grateful for those of you who are tuning into my videos regularly, watching, enjoying. Thank you so much. Something that would be so amazing is that if you're watching, because a small fraction, a very tiny fraction of the people who watch will give me either a thumbs up or, I mean, there's like, I don't know, a dozen people who will always give me a thumbs down. That's fine. Hi, thanks for being here. Thanks for engaging. I would just like to ask, could you rate my video one way or the other? By the time you're finished watching, I would really like to see what that does for views, engagement, getting my video out there a bit more in the algorithm. I think many people just don't realize how valuable that simple task is. So we love a thumbs up, but you know, whatever. However you feel in your heart about this video, I would love it if you would rate and continue to rate videos that you watch of mine, because I would really love to keep this channel going strong and reaching lots of people. So thank you so, so much. Now the thing about these product comparisons is I really can't demonstrate all of them on my face together because there's just not enough face for that. You could say, well, do one side or the other, but if the shades don't really match up, formulas don't match up, that's kind of tricky. So if one of the products I'm talking about does not get applied today, I will link below to a video where you can get much more information on it. But the first thing I wanted to compare are long wear foundations here. We have this new from Too Faced Born This Way Soft Matte Oil Control Foundation, 24-hour wear, and then I also have been using this one a ton lately and loving it, the Maybelline Superstay 24-hour Skin Tint. So both have the 24-hour claim. To make this story pretty short and sweet, I think the Maybelline way outperforms the Too Faced in terms of staying power, and it's not even really close. Both products have a nice feel on the skin, relatively lightweight, easy to blend. The mechanics of the product, I really can't complain too much about either one. I do prefer the packaging here a little bit, having that pump. This dropper can get a little messy around the outsides and also a little bit vague as to how much you're actually putting on your skin at once, but we can remedy that. I need to order a pump from Amazon. But when you read the claims on this Too Faced, it says weightless formula, 24-hour smoothness, sweat and humidity resistant, 12-hour moisture, non-creasing and non-caking for 24 hours. And we have talked about this in a video, and it does look beautiful going on. I feel like they actually have kind of a similar natural skin-like look when applied. But I feel like any oil or sweat on your skin really is able to kind of fight through on this one, whereas with this, it just is pretty much indestructible all day. This has a beautiful, like, approaching full coverage kind of look, but this has it too, and then they both manage that kind of skin-like quality as well. I just think with the big claim on this being soft matte, oil control, 24-hour wear, I think that's a real key thing they're trying to push. And I have normal skin, maybe a little bit combo in the T-zone. This, I mean, it's not even close as far as the freshness going throughout the rest of the day. This has it. This product is extremely reliable. So that's the winner of that little product duel. Next thing we're going to talk about is the serum bronzer. So we have a couple of really different formats here. One you recently saw me use this past week from Laura Geller. She's got these things called Serum Bronzing Cheek Lift. This is the shade called Sweet Sunshine, and it's like a little stamper. It's a very thin product. It's like liquid, but this little dabber manages to deposit it on the skin in a really thin way, and it makes it very blendable, very easy to work with. You can see you're working in thin, kind of wide dots, and that is just extremely user-friendly for the blending. I talked a lot about how much I enjoyed that process and how I think these are a really fun product and something I'm going to gravitate toward using a lot. But then I started thinking about what other things are in my collection that are also calling themselves bronzing serums, and we do have this from Physicians Formula. This is the Butter Glow Bronzing Serum. This is the one I put on today for you. And I think I wasn't actually recording as I started to go across my skin, but this has the dropper. The dropper works, it does its job. I'm not the hugest fan of droppers, but instead of giving you a thin, very even, very uniform dot, you're gonna be dropping this product on the skin if you choose to use it in that way. What the dropper does give this product is a little more versatility. So you might think, okay, what if I wanna take that bronzing serum and I just wanna mix that in with foundation, or I wanna mix mix that with tinted moisturizer or use it in a completely different all over the face blended type of way, this format kind of works for that. But in terms of actually using it as bronzer, I would have to say I prefer the thin dots that this applies rather than having to just drop on a gob of this and then blend it out. All that being said, this still blends very, very easily. There is no challenge with it. It looks really sunny and just the slightest bit dewy when you blend it in, but still not sticky feeling on my skin. It's really a beautiful product. This was brand new several months ago, and I continue to pull it out time and time again. It's never really left my radar, and yes, it does have that butter bronzer scent in it, even though it's a liquid. And what we can also keep in mind here is we could recreate this type of effect by just smoothing some on your hand or a little palette and then dabbing into that directly with a brush and then going to the skin, and then you could get more of a stamped on effect. So while I do believe this is a really special product, I like the formula, it's kind of unique and it makes life easy, I do think it's possible to sort of duplicate that experience with this and also have the versatility to use this one in a number of different ways. So I'm gonna say the Physicians Formula Butter Glow Bronzing Serum comes out on top for me, although I do still really like this product too. Let's talk about a couple of new high-end powders that are on the market. We have one from Too Faced here. This is their Born This Way Soft Blur Flexible Finish Setting Powder. I have it in the shade Light. It's just a very thin, small compact. It does not come with any kind of puff. You're on your own for your puff or brush that you use to apply this. This is a super soft powder. You touch into it and you're like, wow, that does feel actually creamy. It kind of reminds me of the Charlotte Tilbury pressed compact powder that they have. So that's one thing. And then we have from Hourglass, they put out their Vanish Airbrush pressed powder, and this here is giving you really the whole package. You've got the mirror, you've got a really nice little powder puff that has this velour super soft side that really makes sense for dabbing it around, touching up, setting under eye, doing things like that. This is translucent and to the touch not quite as creamy as the Too Faced. So here's where you have to think about, what is my function for this? What's my purpose? Because this feels lighter. Still soft, yes, but not like, oh, you put your finger in and you've got this creamy, almost thick amount of powder coming up in a swatch. It's lighter. So when you think about these powders and you think, am I going to use this as something where I want to deposit a good amount on my skin, maybe add a little coverage with it? I think this is capable of adding a little coverage. I got a light shade, so I would be able to set my under eye with it. I'm not completely blown away by this one, and it's like they've made it, in a sense, extremely travel friendly with this little thin size, but yet am I gonna throw this in my purse ever, really, knowing there is no puff and no brush? I'm probably not gonna just take a random brush out of my collection, even if it's a retractable one. I'm just being honest. I don't think I'm gonna think to do this. Grab a separate application item and put it in my purse, although this size would make you think, oh, that's so handy, but yet not. I think they should have put a very thin puff in here. But this looks nice on the skin. It's hard to really pick it apart because it's an effective powder. But this, I think, is really setting itself up to be a perfect thing for touch-up because the powder is more lightweight. It doesn't look as visible on the skin as the Too Faced. You have the little puff. You have really a nice size mirror for any kind of touching up you're gonna do. And like I said, the powder is just something that's not going to deposit as much on your skin at one time. I've been lacking something like this in my collection that I feel is a really effective purse powder. Like, I have a random one from CoverGirl in my bag that's been in there for a long time. I do love my L'Oreal True Match pressed powder. That's in one of my bags or backpacks downstairs. It's good, but that actually is more like a powder foundation. This, even with the tone, you know, you can dab it on, things can look a little more perfected, but I feel there's very little chance for error with this, and you're totally covered in terms of having the puff, having a good sized mirror. If it's a choice between either of these, this one's just a little more makeup-y, a little more richness to the powder. So to me, it might be more valuable if it's being used in the application of makeup initially. It's not bad, but I would actually choose this if the function is something you're gonna take with you and really have an easy time using. Drugstore liquid blushes, couple of new ones on the market. They are nothing alike, it seems. So we have the L'Oreal Le Liquid Blush from their Lumi range, and I bought one of these and then I was sent actually in PR what I believe is the rest of the line, and I've really gotten to experiment and play, and these are intense, they're fun, they're very what you see is what you get. We're talking one dot'll do ya type of application. They've got some colors that have a little bit of shimmer, like this one's called Glowy True Rose, and it just has that little bit of a gold tone, very soft, like satiny sheen in it. The first one that I bought was the Dewy Bright Pink. That really goes there. I thought this was going to be so soft, but it's very intense actually. And you know how L'Oreal's kind of pushing this Worth It line? Personally, I think they're trying to create their own Pillow Talk, like iconic product, because they've got like their Worth It lip liner and their Worth It lipstick. Now they've got Worth It in the blush, and this looks so muted. And so like, what even is that? Well, I applied this one today just with a dot, and I think it's beautiful. I love it. It's kind of a toasty, sort of burnt peach idea. I think it's absolutely lovely, actually. I enjoy that shade very much, much more than I thought I would. To me, these are on the level of like a Rare Beauty type of blush. Even with softer shades, it seems like a little goes a long way. I am very excited to play with a deeper shade. I haven't used that yet, but I've been impressed with that line. Now from Maybelline, they've put out this little range that seems to include kind of like glowy bronzer type of shades and maybe a few blushes, but not as many. I know there's a cool pink shade. I'd be eager to try that. They've got a few options. I got the one called City Sizzle, and I like this, okay? This has more glow in it. It reminds me very much of the formula you're getting from a Tarte Maneater Plump and Glow cheek product. Again, with the doe foot applicator, they both have that. But you're gonna put this on and feel like, well, maybe I could do a couple dots. I'm getting the combination of both sheen and color in here, and it's showing, but it's softer. Frankly, there's probably a little more ease in this product than there is with these, but from a satisfying pigment angle, these win. The L'Oreal Les Lumi. You look at those shades, and even the softer ones are gonna really bring you something. In this line, granted, there's more to try, but it seems to be something that's trying to cater to glow a bit more, just with the shade selection, giving you more items besides a straight up blush. But I like this shade. This is a thumbs up product for me, but it might be something for the person who's a little more new to this application style. Maybe you've been a powder blush person for ages, and this liquid blush thing is a little new to you, and you don't want to feel so, oh, just a dot, and if I go more than that, I'm going to be overwhelmed with color. Like, these are not overwhelming, so there is a benefit to it, but in my personal opinion, I enjoy the L'Oreal Les Lumi liquid blushes even more, and I will make sure to work more of those shades into future videos. I know I've used the Dewy Bright Pink in one before, so I'll link to that application below, and today was the Worth It shade. More to come with more of those shades for sure. New eyeshadow palettes. This is kind of tricky because these products, I'm not claiming for them to be dupes. I'm just saying these are kind of the hot items, I think, right now. We have our Too Faced Happily in Love palette, and we have our Natasha Denona I Need a Warm palette. So a couple of fall palette options. This Happily in Love, yes, I have done a whole video with it, but I've continued to do so many looks with this one. This palette is your variety pack, okay? You've got rich, deep shades, you've got a couple of fun pops of color, you've got berry, pink, some really glitzy shades in here actually if you want to layer up for a little shimmer, but you could easily do an all matte look in this palette as well, which I have done. It's very enjoyable. It's bringing back those old Too Faced days of chocolate bar palettes that had that, you know, metal packaging. I think it's cute. I think it really doesn't feel confined to one season like, oh, there's a fall palette. No, this could be for any season. Berry, neutral, having deep shades to anchor your look, having fun shimmers to take it up a notch on the lid. I just feel like I've used the heck out of this one, and I absolutely love it. Now this one, granted it's a bit newer to me, but it also has a little less range. This is the I Need a Warm palette. Natasha Denona's quality is so good. However, what we're lacking here is the uniqueness factor. We have mattes all down this side. These are mattes. Here and here are mattes as well. She's got a new formula that does, I think, bring some uniqueness to things. Like, for example, this shade called Flashover. Like, I've never felt a shadow just like that. It's extremely thin, but very pigmented. It's almost like a hybrid cream powder, but more of a powder. There are some really highly shimmery shades in this palette, and if you're one who's still trying to stay more in a matte color scheme. These are downright glitzy. So think some warmish mattes that aren't really glaringly warm. They're not putting straight up orange and red in here, but they're taking a warmer shift on a lot of the mattes, and then shimmers that provide a lot of glitz. I actually used this one up here, this one called Phenomena, and it's very interesting how it actually can look greenish, it can look a little coppery, it can look a bit gold, but I've got that on the inner lid. Backing it up, what I first did is I took the shade called Ripe, and I got that going in the crease, and then I love this shade called Mellow because it allows you to kind of soften out the edges of deeper shades. Fervor, added that in to kind of deepen up, richen up my crease. We used some of Vim, this beautiful brown that's right in the center of the palette. I like that on the outer part of the lid and kind of working up into the crease a little bit more. And then, like I said, Phenomena, that really interesting shifting color. I popped that on the inner part of the lid, and I think that's really fun. So no doubt, it's a great quality palette. There's some beautiful shades in here. There are some really approachable shades in here. I think the timing is right for a palette like this. It brings a little bit of warmth, but I don't find it to be as warm as some things we've seen, right? That are really bringing oranges and reds and stuff like that. It's not quite going that far with it, and I'm going to work with it more. I'm going to do more looks with it. I'm going to see how I best like to use it. I think the packaging is absolutely so cute, but in my personal opinion, the variety in this palette is going to win out for me every time. I love the color tone variety. I love the certain kinds of colors that are in here, from a mustardy yellow to a berry to burgundy, deep brown, medium browns. There's just so much to love in this palette, and it makes like popping it open in the morning and thinking, what eye look am I going to do today? Like, more exciting to me. This is bringing a lot of tones that we've seen over and over again, so more basic, less excitement, really nice quality textures. Let me know how much more you'd like to see on this one. Would you like to see a dedicated video showing some various looks I've done and a more detailed tutorial? Let me know, but as far as these two palettes go, this is my winner. Last couple of things here, we're talking about shadow sticks. So we have some recently launched shadow sticks from a couple of brands here. Maybelline has their Color Tattoos, which are a nice long wearing shadow stick from the drugstore, and then also L'Oreal has their Lace Shadow Sticks. These I recently used in a video. These glide on like none other. There's an easier glide compared to about any shadow stick I own, and I'm including Laura Mercier in that thought. I'm including Makeup Forever in that thought. L'Oreal has figured out a way for these to glide on where you're applying like no pressure, and yet you're getting full color and a cooling sensation, and it locks in and doesn't smudge away. So there are so many advantages in this line. Now, one thing you're going to notice though, especially with these specific shades I'm holding up, this is Brown Abyss. It's got a little bit of shimmer to it, a satin finish, I would say. I used this today on the lower lash line, outer part here, just smudged it a little bit. What Maybelline is offering is actually a couple of different finishes with their shadow sticks. So some will have shimmer, some will have matte. They will clearly identify it on the packaging. This is the one called I Am Determined, and it's a matte kind of like medium brown, and it's a great shade, but in comparison to the ease of application, I'll say I never really struggled with this product, but it's not nearly as just smooth and soft and effortless as the L'Oreal. You might say, well, where did the hard candy shadow sticks fall into that conversation? I think they're kind of like in between this and this, smoothness wise. Love those, absolutely love them. They're a great option. But just comparing these two even newer things, I would have to give it to the L'Oreal. These are just incredibly easy. They have lighter shades, they have more mid-tones. This is one of the deeper ones. There may be some shades that I've never even tried. Like I said, Color Tattoo, if you're honing in on a specific shade and you're like, oh, I want that color and I want it to be matte, it's still a good product, and it does lock in for long wear, absolutely. Staying power is not even a problem with any of these, but it's just, does that lack of resistance in application matter to you a lot? If so, you're going to love how easily these L'Oreal ones go on. Final thing to talk about, these little click up pens that are kind of being fashioned after the Tarte Maracuja Juicy Lips and other click up kind of hybrid lipstick, lip gloss, lip balm type types of products, okay? We've seen a lot of these come out from different lines. A couple of the newer ones for me are the line from e.l.f. These are called the Pout Clout Lip Plumping Pen, and then we have from ColourPop the So Juicy. These are about as dead on for each other as you can get. These are so similar. So you're going to take your pen, you click it up at the bottom, the product comes just past the little plastic packaging, and then you can pretty much plan on all of that depositing down on your lips, giving you a kind of thick level of shine and also some really nice color. So I'm wearing this e.l.f. one. I'm gonna have to like grab a magnifying glass and find the shade name for you, pop it up on the screen. But what this has is a nice thickness, a rich feel, feels luxurious, feels cooling. The pigment, I mean, that's all I have on my lips, no lip liner involved. I love it. Now, I more recently got the ColourPop So Juicy. I love these too. They are doing it almost exactly the same way. I have even a rich shade here. This is the one called Berry Spritz, and you can see in a swatch there, it's a little different shade from this from e.l.f. This is a bit more earthy. This is a little more berry, but see how much color comes off just in a swipe? The texture is almost identical. They both have that cooling feel. Like, I can't hardly put one clearly on top of the other. The only thing I could say is maybe e.l.f.'s accessibility factor might put it a little bit higher for me. These are going to be easier to find in more places. But if you're placing a ColourPop order and you're wondering, like, are these good? Yes, they're really good. Now, I haven't tried the entire line of everything, and you're probably going to run into some shades that are more sheer than others. But I've got like this one from the e.l.f. I also have a red one, and they're both really beautiful. I think these are giving off more color than at least a handful of shades that I own from Tarte that are in that same format of product. So I just thought that was cool and interesting how it's truly similar, right down to the texture, the feel, the amount of color payoff. So much the same between e.l.f. and ColourPop with those. Guys, I hope this video was informative to you. Let me know if you'd like to see more things like this. I think it's a really fun way to discuss new products, and whether you totally agree with my thought process or not, it at least gives you some things to think about and maybe, you know, a little jumping off point as you research things on your own too. Thank you so much also for rating this video. I appreciate it. I of course love any comments or shares you can give, and I will see you all again very soon. I love you. Bye.